Small Talk series. This week, I am talking with a number of big thought leaders in these small talks, just 30 minutes. We're going live on all our channels every day this week, somewhere between 1 and 2 p.m. EST. Check your schedules. We got it on the socials. Today, I am joined with I'm joined by, let me get my prepositions right. Hello. None other than GiGi Diaz, the amazing media personality that she is, also an incredible mindset and business coach. GiGi, love watching you from afar, although we have met in real life in Miami in those hot moments. Thrilled to see you here. Glad for you to join us. And thank you, as always, for being such a fabulous, fabulous human in the world.
Thank you. I'm always excited to collaborate with you and to participate in all the amazing things that you do. You set up such beautiful, powerful platforms. So I'm just excited to be here and be able to share a little bit of our day today with both our audience, because I too am streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So, and YouTube. So this is going to be fun. I'm excited to chat.
I am super, super excited about this chat as well. We are streaming on all of the social channels, including my personal favorite one. I might be a little biased, but that's because I made it. The Backstage Pass, which I argue is the most important place online for women, particularly women thought leaders, industry disruptors, and business activists. I know GiGi is definitely one, if not two of those three things, because it takes a lot to be a woman in business. It takes a lot to be a woman leader. And before we get into the topic for today's chat, which is about elevating and how GiGi specifically elevates women, I want to talk just for a quick second about how GiGi stays maybe elevated in her own life, because I've been watching GiGi share some of her background from different stages that she's been on, both in front, backstage, in the wings. GiGi, give us just a 1 or 2 minute background of like who you are, where you're coming from, and your like razzle dazzle jazz finger moments of little lady boss glory, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. Let's see, how can we do this quickly? Because it's a long 20-year story.
Right.
I was born in Cuba, and I have simultaneously been able to successfully run two paths. One in media, where I have had the beautiful opportunity to be on air on both television and radio with organizations like NBC and Telemundo and America TV, as well as Radio Disney, iHeartRadio, Spanish broadcasting systems, and many others across the country in Spanish and in English. So that's been a beautiful blessing. That's a little bit about my media experience. I'm also the host and producer of the Chats with GiGi podcast. And on the other side of that, I have also simultaneously walked the path of entrepreneurship. I opened my first business, GiGi's Dance Academy, in 2003. We're actually celebrating our 20-year anniversary next year,
yes,
which is bomb.com. I can't even believe it's been 20 years. In that experience of entrepreneurship, I had really, really serious burnout. And I was, I got my degree in sociology and anthropology for my bachelor's, and I decided I had to go back for my master's in communications, because I've been doing this since I was, literally 15 years old. I was doing graphic design for a newspaper. And in that burnout, getting my master's, working mornings in radio, working evenings in sports, I was like, what the hell is going on? My hair was falling out. I had breakouts. It was the worst experience of my life, and definitely one of the scariest. And I realized that a lot of the time we chase somebody else's definition of success. And when I did a lot of reworking and a lot of redefining my definition of success and what really truly makes me feel in my purpose and empowered and leading my life on my terms, was when I discovered my true purpose, and when I discovered the power that we really do have over our careers and our lives. And that is in finding your definition of success and in creating the path that is made customized for you. In that is where my current business is running, which is Seizing Happy. And it is an organization that is dedicated to nurturing the business and the woman behind the business equally. And so now that is my full-time focus, is the Chats with GiGi podcast and my coaching company. We work on your branding, we work on your business and personal blueprint for success with less stress. And I absolutely freaking love it. And one of the most exciting things is that we offer a lot of what we do in the Backstage Pass, and a lot of the Seizing Happy amazingness is available for the LBI community. And so it's really exciting for me to be able to do both, to have a platform where incredible women come together, which, we're very familiar with, which is LBI. And with that, I also love, being able to grow together with other amazing women that are leaving a powerful footprint on the industry, that are leaving a footprint on our society, that are leaving a footprint in the hearts of other women. And that's the goal, right? Like to hold hands and to lead each other together and to move forward together and to have that create space and support each other in the growth, which is something, Rose, that you do all the time, and part of the reason that I love collaborating with you. So that's the nutshell. It cannot possibly get any shorter or faster than that.
That was good. Minutes, and there's a lot in there, but I always like for our guests to just give their own street cred, because like even though I know you, right, some of our listeners maybe don't, and it's like mostly just hitting on the last thing you said, which is us as women collaborating and leading in different ways and new ways, right? What about who better to lead than someone with a beautiful resume, CV, and experience in life like you? And particularly when we talk about, the backstage, I'm calling for women, anybody who identifies as a woman, to take center stage in their own life, because when we do that, right, we see incredible effects, not just in our own personal, like some could call that selfish, but that's the new cool, right, is taking care of our selfness is what I like to call it instead. But then what happens when we have more space to care for ourselves is we have more space to care for our community, lean into our community. And I see you doing that in so many different ways, as you said, many lanes. And so let's talk now a little bit about your lanes and how they specifically elevate women. I think one of the things we've seen a lot in the last 2 years, one of the things that I've heard consistently, I was just on a phone call with a dear friend telling me about how exhausted she is, how burnt out she is, how over it, right? The great resignation, these different moments that we've seen women being like, fuck this, I'm out of here. This is totally not what I signed up for, right? And so I see you as sort of the antithesis to that, Gigi. I see you as being like, okay, I know about that. I had that experience, and here's how I'm never going to have it again. And here's how I'm going to show you, lead you. So talk to us a little bit about how you do that elevation, Gigi style.
Yeah, absolutely. It is my favorite thing to do. I think that first of all, the most important thing is that we do inside the Seizing Happy community is that we hold space for women to really be able to tap into what is it that they need. We tend to go through life doing what we need to do, what we're supposed to do for everybody else, for our careers, for our husbands, for our wives, for our children, for everybody. A lot of the women that I work with are also caretakers. So they've got not only their children, they've got their parents on their back too. And what happens is that we lose track of what about me? What do I need, right? Like, how can I reinvent myself right now into the fullest version of me, right? And so the first thing that we do in our Seizing Happy work together is, whether you're part of our community or you're doing one-on-one work with me, is we hold space for that, for really tapping in, looking within, and rediscovering the essence and the power of the woman that sometimes becomes blurred. It becomes blurred by all the other things that we have to do, that we're supposed to do, that we feel we need to do. And that's not to say that some of those things are not important. They absolutely are. Our roles as mothers and wives and caretakers are supremely important. But we cannot lose ourselves in that, because when we're showing up as not the fullest version of ourselves, we are not honoring those things and people that we love so deeply with the best version of us, with the fullest version of us, with a happy, strong, clear-minded version of us. So the first thing that we do is that we hold space for the woman to really be able to dig deep and find that power source. The next thing that we do is we work to see, where is that power source going to lead you? Is it going to lead you corporate, which is perfectly fine? Is it going to lead you independently, which is also perfectly fine? Entrepreneurship is absolutely beautiful. You're absolutely right, Rose, that right now with the big resignation, a lot of women have said, fuck this, to corporate, and I think it's phenomenal, and they're discovering their inner CEO. So that's a big part of what we do. We actually have a program called Unleash Your Inner CEO, where we help you to nurture the woman that you need to become in order for your business to scale and grow in the way that it needs to. Because our business, like our relationships, like our children, like everything in our lives, are a reflection of us. And so when you are well, your business is well. If you want your business to grow, you need to be in a state of growth. If you want your business to be able to attract the right clients, you need to be light, and you need to be able to attract the right companionships, the right partnerships, the right people, the right support system, right? It's a reflection of you. And so that's the next step that we do, is once we discover what the blueprint what the goal is gonna be, we build, then the third step is to build that blueprint together, and to build it in a way that is customized to the individual. Because a mom of two that has a full network, in other words, she has the grandparent, she has the partner, doesn't need the same support as a mom of two who doesn't have her partner and who doesn't have the grandparents to help with babysitting, right? They need completely different types of support, not more or less, just types of, it's different support, right? In addition to that, you want to be able to build, and not everybody has the same definition of success. Is your definition of success more money or more time with your kids? There's no wrong definition. It's just whatever it is for you. And a lot of the business blueprints that are set out there, a lot of them are built just for the money part of things, not for the wellness, not for the mental health, not for the one-on-one time with the family, not for the alone me time. It doesn't consider these very, very important elements of success in the business plan. And that's why so many women entrepreneurs find burnout and exhaustion in the process, because their business plan does not include them and their well-being and their personal priorities. And so that is the goal within Seizing Happy. It's why our motto is to nurture the business and the woman behind the business equally. We do this through group coaching, through one-on-one coaching, and through our Seizing Happy community.
So it's not just necessarily for entrepreneurs, because you were saying people who work for themselves, or perhaps they're going up that corporate ladder. Maybe they're jumping off the corporate ladder into the like sea of I don't know, right? So it is women you work specifically with, but also not just mothers, right? You work with single women, you work with women that have all the babies, none of the babies, all the pets, all the plants, all the businesses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just woman, when you are ready to find the fullest version of you, the strongest version of you, the reinvented version of you. That's the woman that I focus my work and energy on.
So what jumped out to me in speaking to you just now about that, like pulling out the more feminine parts of a business plan, right? So there's two things I wanted to touch on. One is I'm in this cohort right now where I'm actually in two cohorts. One where it's expressly masculine. It's not even that it's masculine. It's just standard operation, right? And some of us can recognize that feels a little masculine. Some of us are just like, that's just how it is. It's kind of called the patriarchy, right? It's the standard mode of operation. And I kind of don't love it. And I'm in this other one that's specifically for women in tech. And we started with a very emotional approach, like figuring out what your enneagram is and figuring out these different ways of operation, so that when you're in conflict or if you're in a moment of doubt, you have some tools in an emotional intelligence way versus just like we strong arm through it, or we keep working, or we don't feel our feelings. So I just think it's interesting that you approach it in a very similar feminine way. And the second piece, I'm curious, with your Cuban upbringing, coming from Cuba, I understand that to be a culture that, while it still has some machismo, it is very woman forward. It is very woman centric. And this could be, I'm not Cuban. I've not been to Cuba. I have some Cuban friends, but that's my understanding. And I wonder how that informs your lived experience as a woman, but also in what you're pulling out of business planning and all of the structures that are very rigid, and hoping to have them be more fluid and more feminine and more space for the individual who wants to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great question, Rose. Thank you for that. I think that it's not only about my particular Cuban roots. I think if we look back historically, women have always led. Women have always been in positions of leadership within the tribes, within their communities. I'm talking way back, right? And what ended up happening, I think, is that there was a shift somewhere, right, where men began to lead and women forgot that they have a power that just looks different from the power of man, that develops different, that is utilized differently. We can lead with intuition and emotion, but that has been shunned and that has been taken away from us because men have been leading for so long with logic and numbers and black and white, that when we began to reincorporate ourselves, to claim back that power, we did it by imitating what the men were doing, by trying to force ourselves to think in black and white and logic only. But the magic that we women have is the ancient knowledge of being able to do both. we can be logical and black and white. We can think in the numbers, but we also have a really, really powerful tool. And that is our intuition. And that is our ancient wisdom. And that is our ability to create, our natural, innate physical ability to create, to see, to perceive, to have the long vision of this is what could happen, that sometimes doesn't show up in logic or numbers, because it's intuitive, because it is spiritually led. And I think that when we allow ourselves to do business from that space, we do better business, because it is what is more natural to us. So there is a lot of spiritual focus and personal growth that happens within the way that we do business coaching and Seizing Happy, that allows women the space to tap into their intuitive leader, not just their logical leader. Because what looks like an amazing business plan in black and white on paper does not fit every woman run business, because like I said a moment ago, not every woman has the same needs or the same desires, right? And we're not built black and white. We are not just logical creatures. We're very logical, but we're also emotional and spiritual and intuitive. And we need to allow for business to have that also, because otherwise we're on the losing end. We're doing ourselves a disfavor. We have more to offer than just the logic, the black and white, and the numbers.
I love that so very much. And I love how you fuse it together from like, it's literally like rubbing the belly and patting the head. And yes, women, we've been doing that like our whole lives. We've seen our grandmothers do it. We've seen our bubbies, like we've seen this, and we've emulated it, right? And it's like, so okay, if we can be so multifarious and able to multitask, which I've learned is actually not real,
Right.
that we can also then remember, because I heard you say we forgot our inherent power. And I often feel like I forget it, but not by way of, oops, I forgot it. Like there's been a couple other things that have distracted us from it, but how can we remember it, right? How can we like set, literally on my phone, I have 4 different timers for different check-ins for like my superpower, my pussy power, my brain power, and like my power as a human, like gender aside, right? And these are things that when we activate, particularly as you mentioned, happiness, Seizing Happy. I love that that's the name of what you're doing. It's so action oriented. We actually begin to see things change. And I think kind of as we wrap up here towards the top of the hour, I would love to hear some success stories from yourself, from people you've worked with, sort of like, I don't know, I kind of hate the proverbial before and after, but as we know, you are an action-oriented person that wants to elevate and inspire women for better lives. So maybe share, without, giving too much tea of somebody else's business, a few success stories, if you don't mind.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What a great opportunity. My eyes are like going crazy right now. They're crying. So I can tell you right now, the greatest success story that I can share with you is mine, because I had to go through that. I had to go through the reinventing. I had to go through the rediscovering. I had to go through I had to trust myself above all these other business plans. I've spent over $40,000 on other coaches, and not one of the things that I have learned has ever worked 100% for my business plan. It wasn't until I allowed myself to lead intuitively that my business took off in ways that I felt like I was just holding on to the back of a dragon. Like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, I need to hire people. I need help. Because I was able to lead with my heart, because I was true to myself and my intuition. And so I think the most important thing is when you allow yourself for that, really to step into what does your gut say. But that requires some training, that requires some listening, that requires you giving yourself permission, and that requires a shit ton of trust in yourself. So we dive a lot into discovering, is there anything holding you back from your self-worth? Is there anything holding you back? Is your fear of success is sometimes worse than your fear of failure. And so there's a lot of digging that has to go through that. And without sharing too much or any names, I can tell you, for example, with our last Unleash Your Inner CEO cohort, we did like this 3-day experiment. And within those 3 days, we had one client that was able to double her membership in her community, in her online community. So that's a really beautiful example of the financial growth, right? Which obviously is a big deal. We need money. It's all beautiful to sit down, meditate, and look at the flowers and stuff, and to be intuitively led and feel good in that space. But we got to make money while we're doing this, right? We're not working for fun here. We're working for millions. And so that's one example that I can tell you that was a beautiful financial shift, and it happened just in 3 days. And another that I can share that is more on the personal growth space is I had within that same cohort, within those same 3 days, that experimental thing that we did. I had another person that was a part of that cohort that she was able to pause her logical thinking. So she was like, well, I should do this because this is what's going to sell. This is what the market research said. This is what this, that, the other. When she was able to pause all of that overthinking, all of that logical, and she just allowed herself through one of the meditations and visualizations that we did, she actually downloaded her entire program. It just came to her. It just flowed in. When we came out of meditation, she just wrote it out. She launched it within, I think, a week. And then by like the third, she did like a 4-week promo. So she launched it, meaning she did all her marketing, all of like, hey guys, I'm opening the doors to this. She then did like the actual opening of the doors and selling. So like the hot, like soft sell. And then she did her 3rd week. And I think the last that I checked in with her, I think her total sales were like 25K or something like that. And
wow,
it came from that.
Yeah.
It came from that intuitively led program, because the program that she put together was not by any means even remotely related to the one that she was logically putting together that felt like what the market research that she had done and blah, 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 blah. She just allowed her gut to lead her. And when she went with that, it was fucking gorgeous. So, I mean,
unbelievable.
I could go on and on.
I love that.
Those are 2 that I think
I love
within our time.
Well, I love that. I love how succinct and quickly you speak, media maven. Also, that this intention of following our gut. Like, I'm not going to get into it because it'll take too long and it's just like ultra personal. But I've had a really shit experience this week personally. That if I had followed my gut, I think I wouldn't be in the ugly cries every morning this week, and I'm feeling the feels. I'm here for it. I'm a feely fucker, but like, I just, call from the other side like that. What is it? Hindsight is intuition's cheerleader, right?
Yes. And hindsight is 2020, bro.
I know. It's so fun, isn't it? But on that note, these are the kinds of conversations that we love to have on the regular, on the Backstage Pass. What GiGi does specifically with women entrepreneurs and really configuring or even reconfiguring what business looks like for a modern day woman, right? Like that's the tea. Like if we want to see things change, then we have to, spoiler alert, do things differently. And so on the Backstage Pass, we aim to bring together thought leaders, business. Let me start again. We aim to bring together thought leaders, business activists, and just awesome women like GiGi. And so I'm so glad you can join on these small talks today, GiGi. Anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
What else can I share? I mean, just thank you for having me. I would love to continue this conversation. We can stay connected via Instagram at GiGi Diaz Live. I always have fun things going on. We do a lot of free workshops and stuff like that are exciting. So the best way to find out about those is through my Instagram account at gigidiaz.com to find out more about Seizing Happy and some of the free resources that we have on there for personal and business growth. You can head to the website, which is seizinghappy.com. And if you haven't yet, the Chats with GiGi podcast is also a really powerful platform of resources, information, topics, books, interviews that are great to trigger the thoughts and emotions that get us to that next level, that open up the doors for us to walk through and change and growth in life and business.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for the work you do in the world, GiGi. Thank you for showing up to inspire me today and hopefully everybody who tuned in on this live. Those on the backstage, we will have the replay. You can access this any old time. And of course, GiGi has her shop in the LBI Mall, which is our e-commerce lane of the backstage. Lots of good stuff in there that points to her community, Seizing Happy. So like I always say, like there is more than plenty for all of us. There's no reason for anyone to be in competition, particularly women. And so hats off to you, Lady Boss, as you support the myriad of badass women in the world that get to take center stage in our own lives. So thank you, GiGi. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Ciao for now, GiGi. Catch you later.
See ya.
All right, y'all. Well, you heard it first from Miss GiGi Diaz, the extremely lovable media personality and awesome business mindset and business coach that is. Definitely check her out, both in her community, our community. Like I said, there's lots of love for all of the lady bosses. Recounting some of the programming leading up to our big celebration, our big 1 year party. That'll be next Wednesday, so a week from today on October 19th at 8 p.m. EST. It is a digital dance party. We've got a really good DJ lined up. We've got some amazing giveaways from Adora Therapy, Rach Green Cocktails. You can even win one of these gold caps. We're trying to upgrade those caps from the Women's March a couple years ago, those like cute knitted pussy caps. I was like, we can do better than that, right? Because women are gold, okay? So that's Wednesday. But tomorrow, Thursday, the 13th, we're talking 2 o'clock, a little bit about diversity. We're bouncing through each of our core values as we collaborate, elevate, and inspire in inclusive and diverse ways. So tomorrow we will talk about diversity. Friday we'll talk about inclusivity. And then next week we're digging into money, sex, and politics because, spoiler alert, we have a podcast dropping and that's what we're talking about. So if you can't miss these, you shouldn't miss these small talks every day at 2 p.m. EST and the big party on October the 19th at 8 p.m. So the link is right here. Come backstage and show us what you're working on, Lady Boss. We are here for the glow up of the world, both digitally and in person. And so if you got something amazing going on and you're supporting women, we want to hear from you. All right. That's all I have for today. Ciao for now.